Right now, we're speaking to the General Secretary of the SACP, Mr. Nzimande. Thank you so much for joining us. Sir, just your general feel of how conference has been going in terms of the discussions.
Well, I must say that there have been relatively robust discussions, from the feedback we are getting from members of the party, from different commissions. The first 2 days also, which was looking at organizational challenges facing the ANC, there have been some very important discussions and issues that have arisen. Of course, we'll have to wait, for the plenary session and the reports that have been pulled together to see where we are. We remain hopeful as the SACP that the ANC will be able to overcome some of the challenges that it faces. The fact that there was that diagnostic report that was presented by the SG is very important. But the ANC has done that a number of times before. The weakness has been then, what is the solution? We hope that out of this a solution will come, and for the ANC to consciously work towards uniting itself. Because that's the bigger problem at the moment. It's not so much policies.
I was actually about to ask you, is the issue leadership of the ANC, or is it about the policies and lack of implementation? Because all we've heard is that they don't implement these brilliant policies that they have.
There are challenges in relation to implementation, that's true. But at this point in time, I don't think that the policy, of course the ANC had to hold the policy conference, but the bigger issues for the ANC to unite itself.
Those past 2 days, the first 2 days where they're dealing with the state of the organization, looking at organizational renewal, strategy and tactics, even the diagnostics report. Do you feel that they've done enough within 2 days to get to the heart of what the problem is and the way forward from there?
Well, there'll never be enough time, in a way, to deal with quite a number of the problems. But the fact that 2 days was set aside was a very important decision because it actually allowed discussion of immediate organizational challenges that face the ANC. We welcome that.
Do you feel there was depth though to those conversations, or was it surface level, let's just get to December, let's try to get to 2019, or was it in depth?
I can't judge now. As I say, the reports we are getting is that there were relatively robust debates. But let's wait for the final report and see what it says, in terms of properly assessing how far did those discussions help.
The SSCP brought about the issue of the Guptas. I mean, you spoke about it for a very long period, with some in the ANC refusing to listen. The issue of the Guptas made it into the diagnostics report as one of the problems that the ANC is facing. Do you think one of the things that the ANC should come up with are policies on how to protect the movement from being infiltrated, particularly by foreign families?
We have to fight against the influence of what, as the SACP have called, the parasitic patronage networks, both in our organizations and in government. So we are very glad that at least the issue of the Guptas, has been put up front, because we have long said, you are right, that this family is playing a very toxic role. But we can't only blame the Guptas, we must also blame their collaborators inside our movement and government as well. But unless we deal with that, we are on a slippery slope.
Do you feel, this is my last shot really, do you feel those in the ANC who've been confronted about how they've enabled this family have listened? We had 2 days set aside.
It's not a question of them listening, really. The question is the ANC must be decisive. It must take action. We can't just rely on the generosity of those who are implicated in such things. The organization itself must take action, I suppose together with its allies. I have no doubt that the SACP, for instance, will once more be discussing this matter as something that poses an immediate threat.
But when you say allies, you'll remember, I think it was on Thursday, Friday maybe, when the president was delivering a report and address, and he spoke about the independence and how sacrosanct the independence of the different components of the alliance are, and how some might come with secretariat agendas and come from a place of personal hatred. Already that kind of sets a scene as to how the alliance and its views are taken.
It's true that we are independent organizations, so the president is right.
Personal hatred. Coming from a place of personal hatred.
I don't know what the president would have meant by that, personal hatred. I'm honestly unable to comment on that because I don't know what he meant by that. I heard that, but I don't know what he said. From the SACP's standpoint, we have no personal hatred against anybody, but what we have got hatred for is the parasitic networks that are threatening to tear the movement apart.
All right, thank you.